Welcome. This is Crime Queen, and if you're joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we are having lots of fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. We have been discovering wonderful truths about Abraham and Sarah, Christ and Eve, and of course God. Of course, God is in the midst of it all. This is what we learn and this is what we experience because I'm sure for most of us we think, oh God, we say, oh God, I don't know how I would cope, if, there's that element. However, there has been the discovery about the story of Abraham and Sarah. And of course, I have been looking at the name changes that took place. I haven't really examined as much closely to a close extent at what stage, whether it was before having the child or whether it was as soon as they had got into Egypt, but however, what has transpired, and I'm believing it's perhaps before having both sons, of course, and where Sarah offered her maid or told her husband to go on to her maid. Now, that too really is a part of the story that, of course, when you are maid, it really shows very much what happens today. It's as if you have no say. You are really your masters or mistresses, you belong to them and they can do as they please. Now, that really lends that kind of meaning to the story too, or whether it meant that Hagar in the story was very submissive. Of course, when you are a maid, your power is not as that of your master, I don't think. So, but putting that side of the story, or put that side of the story where it's like the point that I want to concentrate on is where Sarah encourages her husband to conceive, to have a child with Hagar. And of course, there's Ishmael who comes about through that sexual relationship. Then we have there's another part of the story, or the first part of the story, I should mention, that Sarah actually laughed when she was told that she would have a child, and of course, time went by that she didn't think it was going to happen. In fact, I think she was it 100 years old or I need to get a fact straight on that. Yeah, but she was old. No, and one of them was at the age of 86, and I'm believing that it was Sarah who was 86, and no, it was the first, yes. So the first son was born to Abraham when Abraham was 86. Now that, yes, that means that 8 and 6 is 14, and 14 has a strong correlation, strong resemblance to the story of Eve, because Eve seemed to have showed up in that story, meaning Eve equals 14, and 1 and 4 is 5. Also, we are told that Christ comes from the generation of 14, and of course, we see the 14 is reflected there again. The one crucial point of all this story is that I have done presentations to show this, and if you're interested, you can look out for going to do the I am with Abraham and Sarah, something thereabout. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to name it, but I'm hoping that it would be enough that you can identify the essence of the presentation. And so Abraham, of course, has this child, but later on, Sarah has Isaac. We know there's another story to Isaac, but what happened before is that it's when Sarah was told about conceiving this child, she actually laughed. And there is another part of the text where she actually, when saying to her husband, well, you go with her, perhaps, that will help me to ignite, or to cope or whatever it is, but to ignite that, and I'm saying that vibration, because I have done text to see that the word vibration actually correlates very perfectly with all of these here. Now, I must say that I did use the word vibration instead of vibrations, which equals 3 in the when I do the numerical value for vibrations, but I hadn't put the S, I hadn't done the S. So as we have here, so I've stuck the S now. And that 3 also correlates with the 3 of Sarah's first name, Sarai. Or Sarah, however it's pronounced. But we see it comes to 21, which equals woman, which equals breasts, which equals blood, and it also equals bread, which is really derivatives of the sacrifice as well. I say sacrifice of the Last Supper with Christ. So we see the correlations of those stories, how they really come into life here. And of course, as I mentioned, 14, 1 and 4 is 5. We see Christ. Not only that, he came from the lineage of 14, but the word Christ also equals 5, but in the form of 32. Okay, so here we have the comparisons that I have been drawing on. Is that another thing that came to light is that after doing the numerical value of the I am that I am, bear with me, the I am that I am, through our template. This is our template. In case you're new to this channel, this is the sacrifice template that we hang the essence of our learning on, or perhaps it sips to us the essence of the learnings that are essential for our evolution. And this is what we are working with: revelation. We are also working with number and intuition. So waters, oh, that's another thing. Waters, that is actually 5. Yes, actually 5. Waters equals 5. Water equals 22. Yes, so 22. Yes, water equals 22 and waters equals 5, which is 23. And we have intuition. So if you're new to this, we add these numerical values here in each column, and we get a pattern of 369, 369, 369, 3 blocks. We see in that pattern as well, from the presentations we have been doing, we see that the number 3 and the number 9 has been showing up quite well. So we are seeing a pattern here is being formed, and it would be interesting to see how 6 shows up after exploring this presentation. But of course we are 6, and that's another thing we need to remember, that we are at the center of everything. So these 6s are showing up here when we add numbers 1 to 3 and 4 to 6 and 6 to 9. So we see those numbers, each block equals 9. All right. Now, back to vibrations. As I said, the presentations I done was also showing that there was a very important ingredient that that transpired in the relationship with Sarah and her husband Abraham after the names were changed, and that's why it would be interesting to find out whether the names were changed before having the children or after having the children. However, whether it was before, we could argue that the story or the ingredient is revealed to us as a lesson that we should learn from, or whether it was done before, we could also take it on board that it was evident that that was what was missing. However, it still transpired in both names the common factor that really got both the couple and both Abraham and his wife to have this harmonious relationship, because we see the word ha, H-A, and H-A in reverse order would seem that they were reflecting that of each other, hence that W aspect that I have been talking about. So it's as if they were mirroring that aspect. One would have sent that vibration and the other, and it bounces back and forth. Now that HA is equals 9, and we are told that 9 is beginning. So there was that ingredient which really equals the beginning of that new life that was meant to be, the new revelation, the new insight, the new action, the new whatever it is. But it's ha, and we see that ha would correlate with that understanding of what action God had performed when it was said that God breathed life into Adam and Eve, and they were he breathed into their nostrils, which we see that nose equals 8. We have 8 hair, and it's really like showing that that breath was what would have taken life. And of course, such a beautiful revelation in itself. And in that breathing, because the word breathe equals 5, we see it also coincides perfectly with breathe. And God breathe here. It's the I am. It's AM. AM is here. AM is 5. AM is 5. Whether it was with the mouth and mouth, whether we breathe out ha through our mouth and into the nostrils, the nose is 8, and AM that forms the nose hair is actually 8. Yes. The other thing that happens with the 8 hair, we see it also coincides with the word et, which I have mentioned before. So here we are saying this, what I really want to do this presentation on is that when we look at the word that, which I have showed that was the word that is really what was challenging me on the new face of Eve. On Eve's new face, after we worked out that it really meant that was really transpiring in dots. It's like saying, God is saying, I am dots. I am dots. Whatever dots are, and this is what we are always trying to do, is connect the dots. We are always trying to connect the dots, and this to make sense of God, to make sense of light, to make sense of whatever it is. And that's what God was saying here. But when we saw this, we look at the word that, it constitutes 13. It is 1-3. That 1-3 that shows here in this number 2 column that bond that happens. The B letter is very evident in the word Abram. Okay, and of course this is just to show you the dots that I got this revelation to say we are dots. Okay. Here we go back to looking at the word that. So we saw that, and this is what we have been able to see, that the ha is what was the vital instrument that was necessary, or that is between Sarah and her husband. So we see that is formed like 9 and 9 are 18. It's like saying, of course, 18 is 9. That 9 would be the new beginning for their child, the new beginning for their family life, the new beginning of all these episodes of eventualities that was happening between them. So we see that here. Now, but when I do the numerical value from excluding the ha, which is the new life, we see that I would say that Sarah was introducing to her husband. She more or less introduced it to her husband, that ha, because she had that 2 nines there, and it's like breaking it down and saying, open your eyes for the new life. Okay, there we go. So this is 9. The new life, the new beginning. So take that away, and we have 4 at the end, which is M. M is 4. Now 4 also equals that. When we do the numerical value for that, we see THAT, which we have done here, sorry. It's 13. 1 and 3 is 4. So we see 4 is showing here. And then we do the numerical value for Abra, meaning Abra. Okay, that is, and isn't it funny that it ends with A and, you know, and another A here? It's like, and we know there are there are so many meanings we could put to this, but of course we are talking about a man conceiving, you know, it's conceiving a child, you know, it's about children, it's about birth. And of course, I believe these are very symbolic, but also we are conceiving, you know, and why not? So we see that when we add these together, this is 1 and 9, 10, 10 and 2, 12, and 1 is 13. We get the direct correlation of that, which with 13. The 13 here is present in Abraham here, because Abraham was really 8. So Abraham would have been 8, meaning he would have been a man of wisdom. But perhaps what has happened here, because we learn in the story how he actually was scared of losing his wife, so he actually asked his wife to say that she was his brother when they got to the land of Egypt, because he was scared of losing her. So we can see what fear does. You know, fear is not really the kind of factor that really brings out this beautiful, harmonious life that perhaps was necessary. However, that's another part of the story. That's another part of the story. But I was very intrigued to see that Abra was in direct correspondence with 13. Now 13, as I have been saying for a very long time, I have done numerous presentations, and perhaps I had discovered this because I have done over 200 presentations, and perhaps it had been from the 100th, I'm not quite sure, but I discovered that really this B here in this section here, the BKT, I call it the BKT, which I sometimes call it the bucket of Kentucky, or the bottle of wine, or the basket of bread, but it is a representation of the Last Supper. It is a supper. It is a indulgence. Something is happening there. Something edible happens there, which coincides with Abraham having, of course, it constitutes that partaking of Hagar's body. we could say. That is, we're talking about mouth, we're talking about what ingestation had happened in whatever way we want to perceive it, had happened, but it brought about Ishmael. So this is what we are talking about here. And we see that B here, which happens to be the bond. It represents bond. It represents agreement. It represents that feminine aspect, and it also represents that control. I say that control aspect, meaning the you could say the soft and the rigid. You could say the masculine and the feminine. That's what happens here. There's that aspect of a proposition and an agreement, discussions and, and commands, those polarities. And when those polarities get into a middle position, into an amicable. When I say the word amicable, it may not always be amicable, but more a submissive, because one may find themselves in a situation here and feeling they have no choice, and they say yes to things that they really mean no to. So that's what happens here. And so we see that with Abraham, that was very transparent there too. And actually, it does fall under the column of two. This is where two comes together. There's where two come together, like Hagar and Abraham, or like Sarah and Abraham, whether it was in agreeing to go with Hagar or not, but that was what was happening here. So we see that 13, which is I have been looking at 13 in a light that I had not before seen until I was doing these presentations. And I've always known some people to be very scared of 13, and some people, I've known people who think it's their lucky number as well. But it means that there is something very symbolical about 13. You either learn about it and see how it works in your life, or see how you can what sense or what significance it has for you. So it would be interesting to explore the areas, those areas of 13. But in this aspect, can we really get away from 13 when it really falls under the column of 2? Under the column of 2, because of our template, we see that as where that two ones really bond. Under the word sacrifice, for instance, the S symbolizes 1, A symbolizes 1 as well, is a 1 as well, but we see that's where 1 and 2 comes together. And there, this 1 and 2 comes together, we could see how the B is 2, but it also forms that 3 that comes onto the side. Now, Abraham had that in his nature. Abraham had, of course, we are told that he was a man of God, and perhaps is it Abraham? Of course, well, Abraham would be a man of God, but I think I was making reference to David here in that sense. But also, let's look at the Ha we saw, Ha that was very essential in the two coming together. And we could also see how Sarah, after taking the HA, which is R, it's like, aha, I've just got it. I've just said it, but I hadn't seen it before. I saw it, but it's really now the aha, literally aha moment is really this is amazing. This is really amazing. This is really an aha moment that I would not have imagined would happen here. This is really an aha moment here. And that is what was missing or essential between Abraham and his wife. they would have had to come to a point of saying, aha. That aha would denote agreement, the agreement that would happen in this column. Aha. Of course, aha, when he agreed to have Hagar. Aha, when Sarah, of course, laughed. Aha, but it's really that vibration as well. So there are two aspects to this aha, this exclamation. And when we get an exclamation or aha, don't we laugh our heads off? We do. We do, whether we feel silly or whether, we are feeling amazed or elated, don't we laugh? And that is the vibration that is enclosed in this, that. This is where it is said, this is the two hair. And it's no wonder some people say that when man plan, God laughs. But the word laugh is 22. And we see the 22 hair and the ha is in the middle. The ha is in the middle hair, which is denoting laughter. And the two hair, which is again showing the depth of that 13. Now this is the nicest 13 that I have come across. It would be nice to be able to call it the nicest 13 that I have come across, because it has been that aha moment that is just so delicious. This is it. So aha is here between the couple, and of course we hear about 9/11. I believe that there are people who really have discovered this truth here and have just kept it to themselves. There is so much depth to all of this here. There is the 9/11 here. And 9 and 11, which is 2, that all equals 11. And 11, of course, equals Jesus, like we are taking it back to Jesus. Take it back to ourselves. When we take it back to ourselves, we see that 1 and 1 is 2. When we talk about I am on my number 11, my feet taking me wherever I'm going. The numbers are in our makeup. It's in our bodies. It's in our, a construct of numbers. And hence I am saying that, well, of course, we know through the readings of the scriptures, when God said, let us make man in our image and likeness, that there had to be at least 2. Some people say 3, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I have no qualms with that. That makes sense too, because we see how 3 is what really vibrates. This is the vibration. 3 is vibration. Now, I'd like to do the word vibrate, and I will apologize again for doing the word vibration with the numerical value of 3, but really it means vibrations. For 3, I have double checked. And so let's just do vibrate, B-R-A-T-E. But we see the word bra, and we are believing that is the bra comes into vibrate. And maybe that is what Abraham and his wife, of course, was going, if you go to Hagar, there's a vibration. And this is what Sarah was saying. Yeah, that vibration may stir up something inside me. And then perhaps we will have that child, because that vibration will stir something inside me. Let's just see that. That is 5, 2, 1, 9, 2, 4. Let's see, 4, 9, sorry, vibrate, 9 and 4. So this is it. We have, let's see, 5, 2, 1, 5, 2, 1, 9, 2, 9, 4. Okay, so we see that is, we can count like this. So it's just, so I just see this as 17, because 9, 5 and 2, 7 and 1. I tend to make more mistakes when I'm going single. So this is 17. And 18, 19, 19, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So vibrate is 32. And that is Christ. Now that makes sense. So Christ is the spirit that vibrates within us, that quickens our mortal bodies to the beauty of God's holy name. We see that here, and that's what I am believing the Kundalini or opening the third eye really means. It's that vibration of that serum that goes up to the brain and spills over into all neurocortex or wherever it happens, and of course, but this is vibrate, so this is 5. Now this 5 also shows Eve here again. Eve is 5, or if we really want to keep it in context, it takes us into the middle spectrum of our template, which is the sacrifice template. The sacrifice template. So we see 5. This is where 5 comes in. And this is where the eye is open. There's the third eye open here, and perhaps that is exactly what happened. Whether we choose the word vibrations or we choose the word vibrate, that would still coincide to say, well, this is what happened when Sarah and her husband had their eyes open to say, of course, because Sarah was the one who also there's such thoughts coming to my mind now. So she was going, and he's going, and they are like, so the two are really in this synchronistic, reflection, or discovery, and they are really, but of course, we see Sarah had her eye open here. Sarah knew about the eye being opened here. Of course, wouldn't it make sense? Although she was Adam's, sorry, I keep saying Adam. She was Abraham's wife, but it would seem like that the rulers or kings of the place or Egypt who had taken her in and given her a maid, the way she had the maid Hagar, it would mean that her eyes would have been open in that sense, and to show Abraham how to have this child. I am presuming that something to that effect had happened, of course. All right, so of course it would mean yes, perhaps she was introduced to how to have this child, of course, before they were sent back out of Egypt. Okay. So we have vibrations. There was another part of all of this. I think I'm going to do another presentation, and because of course this is like 32 minutes, and we'll do another presentation because there's more to Abraham and Sarah, of course, the wonderful aha. This is aha. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you have found this very insightful, and this discovery is really delicious. Really delicious. I love it. Okay, so if you like this presentation, click the like button and share, because this is how we do it. We share to actualize in self-full love. In the meantime, stay blessed, stay blissful, be bright, and be a field, because we are planting new seeds. Oh, of course, and stay ignited. Stay ignited. Yes, vibration. Namaste.